Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first edition this season of Sportsmemo's College Football Forecast. My friends, we're going to be coming at you every Thursday during the college football campaign and bringing you tons of free winners, amazing betting insights, and a few laughs, too, from some of Sports Memo's documented leaderboard fixtures. So grab your helmet, lace up your cleats, and get ready to make money this college football campaign. Today, we have an amazing show, an all-star panel to kick off this season. Let's bring them aboard. What a bunch of good-looking people this is. It's not a dating site. We've got the First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico. We've got KT, Kevin Thomas, and making a house call today, Dr. Chuck. Good afternoon, everyone. Dionne, Kevin, Chuck, how is everybody today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Actually, I see Dionne. I just seen her in a minute and a half before the show started. She lives down the hall. She is down the hall, I should say. Guys, we got a great show. Before we go into 4 roundtable games in our best bet segment, we got a ton of free content. I'm telling you now, you're gonna go into the weekend and have your first weekend of college football, a winning weekend. You listen to this panel because they are documented leaderboard fixtures at Sportsmemo. I have a few announcements first. First of all, number one, tomorrow morning, the First Family of Las Vegas show turns into the Family Affair show as Ralph and Jeff Michaels join Joe and Dionne D'Amico. Be sure to join us because we have some great new features for you there tomorrow. Last week's first show was a big hit. Tomorrow, got some fun stuff for you. You're going to love it. And Monday through Thursday, don't forget to tune into the First Family Show as we are now going live, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. And you never know what's going to happen when Joe D'Amico and his big mouth goes live. Sorry, guys. Starting next week, guys, you're going to get a double dose of football shows as both the college and pro football forecast will be in full swing. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss any of the content here at Sports Memo TV. Now, guys, very quickly before we go into our roundtable segment, this is something, a courtesy I want to bring to you. A lot of people out there are always curious as to why these lines move and who's moving them. So, once again this season, for the football forecast shows, I went to my friends at one of my favorite sports books in the world, the Superbook at the Westgate, and I spoke to them just a few hours before this show airs, and I'll tell you what we did. I got their major money moves, and they told me all 5 of these major money moves are by wise guys, sharp bettors, the people in the know. So without any further ado, let me give you that. Then we're going to got 4 roundtable games. We got best bets. We got everything. I am wearing pants today, so don't worry about that. If I stand up, everybody's safe. Guys, first thing that the guys over at the Westgate wanted me to tell you was Michigan State versus Western Michigan. It opened 17.5. It's now up to 22.5. The wise guys bet this. 17.5, past 21, 22, and even up to 22.5. Guys, that is incredible. TCU at Colorado. It opened 7.5, rose 6 points, 13.5. He even told me he might even hit 14 before the end of today. Tulsa at Wyoming. You know, these line movements are just incredible. It never surprise me this early in the season. Tulsa at Wyoming. It opened 1, now 6.5. Western Kentucky at Hawaii. Interesting game. We covered on the First Family Show this morning. It opened 11.5, now 16.5. Get this one. It's going to blow your mind. Texas State at Nevada. It opened 9. It's now down to pick. Can you believe that we had line moves up to 9 points? And that's about an hour before we're airing the show. So we're going to come to you every week, both on the college and the pro football forecast shows, tell you about all these line movements because I know you guys want to know exactly who moved these lines. And hell, are they going to keep moving or are they going to be bought back? So I want to do whatever we can to get you in the know, like the sharp players that are moving these lines. So without any further ado, guys, we've got our first of 4 roundtable games. Let's talk about it. It is going Thursday night. That's tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Penn State and Purdue, the knitting lines are currently 3.5, a total of 58. We're going to go to the First Lady of Las Vegas to lead this one off, Dionne D'Amico, who did finish second all on the college football leaderboard last season. Dionne, the floor is yours.
Thank you. There's a lot of pressure on Penn State after their fall off on the second half of last season. This is a team steeped in pride and tradition, and they brought in Manny Diaz to take over the defense. Reports are that he's going to bring back the Nittany Lions defense back to his former glory. I know Purdue was a pretty good team last year with the solid quarterback, but Aiden O'Connell lost his 3 top receivers, and they lost quite a few big-name players as well at other key positions. The Boilermakers defense is supposed to be good, but how good? We just don't know yet. So let's not forget that PSU is money for us bettors this month, covering 9 of the last 11 in September. Their schedule gets significantly tougher in a few more weeks. So getting on track right now is imperative. So go ahead and take Penn State in this one.
The First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico, says take Penn State. It's a really good breakdown. Thank you, Dan. We appreciate that. I know everybody out there does as well. Guys, we're going to be rotating these roundtable games. It's not going to be like what we did last year. So those of you that are new to us, you're in for a great treat today. Let's go to the doctor himself, Dr. Chuck. He's doing some great work over at Sports Memo. Let's get his take. Dr. Chuck, Penn State, Purdue, Nittany Lions, 3.5, 58.
Yeah, so I love that we don't discuss these games before we go off. Obviously, we prepare our own analysis by ourselves and then come together, discuss the games, not what we're going to say, and then we are let loose. And I like Dionne's breakdown.
All right. Guys, a little technical difficulty right there for Dr. Chuck. Dr. Chuck, we ran into a little technical difficulty.
I'm looking at it in an extremely different. Am I still there?
You're coming back in. You're a little staggered, but you're coming back in. All right.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. I said I love that the angles are not discussed and how we're going to break this down is not given away to the other panelists. I'm looking at it in an extremely different way here. I am a complete Jeff Brom believer. I don't think that his time in West Lafayette is long. For maybe even next season, he might be able to move up. Purdue is a big school per se, if we're talking just college athletics and Big Ten and things like that. But football takes a back burner to basketball, and so there are other spots. For James Franklin, Dionne brought it up. He's got to recover from the last 2 seasons. He's got to turn this around. Manny Diaz was a disaster as a head coach, and that's exactly where he needs to be, is drop back down to defensive coordinator where he is a genius. That is a bit of a worry. I do like that hire. I think that's a great spot. I don't like the Nittany Lions having to go on the road here, lay 3.5. I think when people think of Purdue, they just think bottom of the Big Ten, and they're going to immediately go against them, especially with a big name Penn State team. And, Dionne brought it up. Of course, he lost Bell. That's a big deal for Aiden O'Connell. I think that the quarterback continuity here is all that really matters. I think he's going to hit his receivers. I love getting the 3.5 points. The TARP, which I discussed a lot, is transfer and returning players. In the offseason, Purdue was able to return a lot of their players. This is home. He's 9-4, Jeff Brom is, against the spread as a home dog. I like everything about this. I'm not endorsing a money line play, but if you're telling me I get the hook on a field goal at home in a ruckus atmosphere in Purdue where they are giant killers left and right, Michigan State, Ohio State, Michigan, they take them down at home, and they're getting points here. And that's the way I would be going, is to take that 3 on the hook and see if you can catch a live dog here on the Boilermakers at home in game 1.
Dr. Chuck, who's doing some great work over at Sports Memo, guys. He is taking the 3.5 on Purdue at home. Guys, this is why Sports Memo is the greatest website in sports betting today. We don't have cookie cutouts of one handicapper to the next, and we don't discuss our roundtable games with each other before coming on air. But I love the fact that we have, right in that example, Dionne D'Amico, Dr. Chuck, 2 documented winning cappers, 2 different angles on the same game. They're on opposite side. I know one of them is tailor-made just for you. Sports fans, don't go anywhere. We got 3 more roundtable games and a best bet segment. Our second roundtable game today, very interesting matchup, guys. Goes off Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Illinois at Indiana. Hoosiers. What is a Hoosier? To quote that great movie. Hoosiers -1.5 and 46. We're going to mix it up a little bit, have a little fun, shake it up now with all you got. We're going to go to Kevin Thomas. He's doing great work over at Sports Memo. He's going to give you his take on this game. Kevin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, first thing we're looking at that Hoosiers -1.5. When I first looked at this game 2 days ago, it was -3. So that's telling me that everyone looked at Illinois and saw that 1-0 week 0 win against Wyoming and just started pounding the other side, the Illinois here, because there's no way this should be almost a pick 'em. Illinois is all about the run. They have Chase Brown. He was phenomenal, 151 yards against Wyoming, whose quarterback actually ran for more yards than he passed in that game against the Illinois. So they're going on the road. And look, teams that play week zero and then go on the road, the opposing team wins 63% of the time since they started keeping that stat. And I think that stat's going to keep here. We got Drew Allen as the coach for the Hoosiers, and the guy, if you look back to his high school, prep, high school, he's taken every defense he's coached and turned it into a phenomenal defense. And he did it already with this Hoosiers team. And they're going to focus on the run. They're going to stop the run. They're going to make Illinois beat them with the pass, and it's just not going to happen on the road here. I would go ahead and take that -1.5. I mean, I would get on that now because I could see it going back to 3 before this game kicks off.
Sports fans, Kevin Thomas, who's doing great work over at Sportsmemo, says he likes that 1.5 there. And I just realized this is the first time in a long time I've seen Kevin without a hat on. And it just dawned on me that on this entire panel, I have the worst hairline. So I appreciate that, Kevin. Thanks for reminding me of that, guys. Now I'm going to take over the second half of this roundtable game. So let me go because I'm vain and egotistical, even though I have the worst hairline on the show. Let's talk about this game, sports fans. Both teams in rebuilding years, and both are relying on transfer quarterbacks. Tommy DeVito in his second start for Illinois, coming from Syracuse, and Connor Bazelak, I like his name, say that 10 times quick, for Indiana, coming from Mizzou. DeVito looked pretty good in the opener, 38-6 demolishing of Wyoming. Hang on, friends, before you bombard me with comments, I know the Cowboys aren't too much of an opponent. Having said that, I still like the way DeVito crutched on workhorse running back Chase Brown. He is a monster. He is a workhorse. The ball carrier tallied 3 TDs on some solid rushing. You're going to see a heavy dose of him here again. There's a team that's going to be going pass off the run here. Take it from me. Trust me, they're going to pass off the run. Running game's going to open up the passing game. And I believe they'll have success in doing so here. Last week, Tommy D completed 27-37, 194 yards, a pair of TDs. Most importantly, 0 INTs. Once again, Wyoming's not the greatest opponent to gauge them on. But he got a little momentum there. He got his optimism up. He got a little bit of chutzpah under his belt right now. I do like that. Not to mention the fact that Brett Bielema has seemed to instill a feeling for Fighting Illini. Hoosiers head coach Tommy Allen has yet to name a starter. He's got 2 solid quarterbacks to choose from. He's got Bazelak and Ohio State confab Jack Tuttle. I just feel that Indiana has a lot more ground to cover in trying to rebuild their team. This is a squad that took some severe beatings a year ago, and let's face it, they were absolutely horrible against the spread, covering just 2 of their 12 contests in the 21-22 season. Illinois does travel well for us bettors, covering the last 4 on the road and also going 4-1 against the spread, the last 5 at home, and failing to cover, the last 5 conference matchups. My apologies. Indiana, 0-5 ATS, the last 5 at home, and failing to cover the last 4 within the conference. I actually have Illinois a 1-point favorite here in my power range. That had nothing to do with how they totally looked last week, because I don't judge people on how they look. But the thing that Tommy DeVito, coming from some issues a season ago, I'll tell you that. He got some things going. Brett Bielema got some things going. And I love Chase Brown. This kid is a monster. Let me tell you right now, I would want this kid. I would pick this kid as high as just about any running back in the country if I was coaching a team. He's a monster. He's a workhorse. He's a good player. He comes to play every game. I had the Fighting Illini actually a 1-point favorite here. I like them to get the win here and start the campaign 2-0. Let me get my face off of here, guys. I'll tell you this. We had 2 roundtable games, 4 different points of view. I love this, guys. This is what sports betting, sports handicapping is all about. None of us are going to give you the same thing the last guy just said, and I love that. Don't go anywhere. 2 more roundtable games and a best bet segment. Our 3rd roundtable game, guys. Very excited about this. 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Saturday, Oregon versus Georgia. Now, it is being played in Atlanta, but not in Sanford Stadium, which is Bulldogs' home stadium. Bulldogs 17-53. Let's mix it up a little bit. Dionne, you're going to take this the first time, and Kevin's going to bring up the second half of this. Dionne D'Amico, First Lady of Las Vegas, take it away.
All right. Guys, I wouldn't overthink the fact that Oregon new hire head coach Dan Lanning is going up against his former boss in Georgia head coach Kirby Smart. Lanning was Smart's defensive coordinator for the national title Bulldogs a season ago. I also wouldn't overthink the fact that Georgia lost a record 15 players from the championship team to the NFL draft. Like most teams in the nation, particularly those in the SEC, most of the teams in the nation, in the SEC, the Bulldogs' depth is what makes them so damn good. If you think that Lanning knows his team inside and out, you're probably not wrong. However, knowing a team of being able to stop juggernaut like Georgia are two different things. That also works for Kirby Smart, guys. The Ducks are expected to start Auburn transfer Bo Nix, and Georgia knows him very well. Oregon ranks a very liberal number 11 in the AP poll. They ran through much of the Pac-12 a season ago, but got crushed twice during the regular season against the Utes, and was outplayed, outclassed, and outsmarted by the Sooners during the bowl campaign. Oregon is 1-4 ATS the last 5 non-conference games, 8-18 and 1 ATS the last 27 games played in the month of September, and 6-13 ATS the last 19 games played overall. You think the scheduling committee could have been a little bit nicer to Dan Lanning than making his first game as a head coach, then facing Kirby Smart and the defending national champion Bulldogs? Come on now. Georgia needs to come out here and truly make a statement, not just to the SEC, but to the rest of the nation, that they are just as strong this season as they were last season. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Bulldogs in this one.
First lady of Las Vegas says she's taking the Bulldogs laying the 17. You know, you got some very, very strong angles there, Dan. You did make me laugh at the end with your comment about the scheduling committee, you know.
I know, of all games for his first game to go up against Kirby Smart, I mean, that's kind of like, that's not very nice. I mean, it's ridiculous that they had to be that mean to him. I'm sorry.
Well, I think it was a good breakdown. You got some great insights, and thank you for that. We're going to go to Kevin Thomas. Kevin, is doing great work over at Sportsmemo as well. Kevin, Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Oregon, Georgia, being played in Atlanta. Bulldogs 17, total 53. Take it away, KT.
I couldn't agree more with Dionne on this. I mean, this game is being played in Atlanta. The Bulldogs fan base is going to be rabid, and everyone wants to see what happens. It's going to be like the Super Bowl letdown. Are these guys going to show up? And yes, the SEC, they draft better. They go around, they get the best recruits. And who doesn't want to go play for Georgia after what they did last year? You want to get in the NFL, you're going to Georgia, you're going to Alabama. And with all the portals and all this stuff happening in the next couple of years, these teams are going to be so stacked. It's not even going to be funny. They're going to have the best pick of the best talent out there. Georgia definitely needs to make a statement in this game. The only thing that scares me about Oregon is the loss of their player, Spencer Webb. This team is going to be highly motivated to be competitive. I know they're traveling across country. And yes, they do know Bo Nix, and he knows them. And the kid was really good in Auburn. I thought he was really good. I bet him a lot of times. At 17 points is a lot, but I'm gonna have to roll with Georgia here just with the defense. I mean, even though they lost 15 players, they only allowed 6 points per game last season. I can't see Oregon's defense stopping any of the Bulldogs runners in this game. So I'm going to go ahead with Dionne and take the Bulldogs minus 17.
Well, there you go, sports fans. Great minds and good looks. Certainly do think alike. Dionne D'Amico and Kevin Thomas, both like the Georgia there. Great stuff, Kevin. As usual, it's what we come to expect from you. As entertaining as you are, informative, and we appreciate that. Sports fans, don't go anywhere. We got another roundtable game. Then we have our best bet segment. Our last roundtable game, well, hold on to your hats. This is a doozy, guys. Woo! Utah State at Alabama. Games being played Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Crimson Tide. They're a low favorite here. 41.5 to kick off the season. You know, when a team is 41.5 and the total is 62, it says a lot. Let's go to Dr. Chuck right now. You know what? No, I'm going to go to me. Let me lead off so Dr. Chuck could finish it up. We're going to go to Joe D because I know how much you guys love my voice. Keep that cotton in your ears, guys. So I'm going to give you a headache on this one. Dr. Chuck's going to close this game out. Let me go to me, and let's talk about this game. Sports fans, well, I love it. We on the College Football Forecast Show want to give you diversity for sure. We're going to cover some marquee games, some under-the-radar games. We're going to give you some early games, some late games, some very close numbers, and some very big point spreads as well. We want to make sure we run the gauntlet for everybody out there because we know that sports betting has a million different types of sports bettors, and we want to make sure we appeal to each one of you. Having said that, this roundtable game consists of a number one team in the country laying over 41.5 points to an unranked team. Yes, talking about Bama and Utah State. Sorry, 41.5. I know the Aggies eked out a win against one of the worst teams in the country in their season opener last week, beating Connecticut 31-20. They were actually down in this game, believe it or not. I don't feel that this team was even caught in a look-ahead mode either last week, guys. I just don't think they're a great team, and you got to be a great team to play Bama. Now, having said that, head coach Nick Saban really isn't happy how last season ended at all. I mean, we could all agree with that. We saw all the videos. He's never, quiet about losses. The Crimson Tide are deserving of their number one ranking, folks. This team is loaded at every position, and they are deep, deep, deep. They are stacked higher than pancakes at your favorite breakfast establishment. I'll tell you that. They'll come out here and make a statement for sure, but there's a big difference between coming out and making a statement and covering 41.5 points in your season opener. I don't think there's a doubt in any mind or in any of your minds, in my mind or in your minds, that this team could certainly win this game 55-0 if they wanted. I mean, they failed to cover 2 of their first 3 out of the gate a season ago, and during their regular season campaign, they were just 7-6 ATS overall. Not to mention that during the start of the season, they're usually overvalued by odds makers. This happens a lot. 3-8 against the spread the last 11 games played in the month of September. I really think this is a big number. I think there are better games on the board, but if I had to play this game, I'd probably take the dog here, and maybe find another dog, mix up a nice 2-team teaser, which I don't say a lot. Teaser and parlay around my house are names of my dog, but they're usually 4-letter words when it comes to betting, guys. I would probably take the dog here only because I think Alabama gets overvalued, and I will tell you once again, I think that they can beat this team 55-0. But Nick Saban doesn't hate this coach. He doesn't hate this team. When he hates coaches and he hates teams, he runs it up. Beginning of the season, I see them beating this team badly and comfortably, but 41.5 is a big number. Now, Dr. Chuck, I'm interested because I know I saw him in the waiting room as the administrator of the site, as the host. I get to see everybody in the back. And Dr. Chuck, he was just salivating back there, waiting to get a hold of his game. Dr. Chuck, Utah State, Alabama, Crimson Tide, 41.5 total, 62. Take it away.
I can't claim that Utah State was the sole reason that we were number one at Sportsmemo last season, but it was our top future play for the over. I'm a huge Blake Anderson guy. I'm a huge Logan Bonner guy. We had a future on them to win the conference. It all worked out kind of perfectly. And I suppose what we're supposed to do is then fade that, right? Alabama didn't finish off very well. Utah State had a phenomenal season that no one apparently saw coming. I don't fall into any of that. I think maybe the ceiling is not reached anywhere near reached for the Aggies yet. I think this is a team that could constantly overachieve based on how the public sees them. I am going to give them, maybe they weren't looking ahead, but there was at least a little bit of look ahead, because whatever people think of UConn, it's not good. Nobody knows that Jim Moore is there. Nobody knows that he changed everything. Nobody knows that his assistant coaches are lined up, that this team is going to be a 500 team next year. This is a solid team that they went and faced, and there's just no way that you can do anything but look ahead when Alabama is on your schedule. This number is ludicrous to me. I haven't put it out officially yet because I'm afraid it'll go higher, as sad as that is. But like Joe said, sure, Alabama could beat them 55-0, but are they going to have that ability to come out this way? When they're 40 or bigger point favorites the last 6 seasons, they haven't lost. They're 11-0. They're 5-6 against the spread. A couple of them have been ridiculously close, and none of them have been of the caliber of a team like this that has Cobbs, who's a star receiver transfer from Maryland. They got Michigan transfers in there. Logan Bonner is back after a full season, Conference Player of the Year. Blake Anderson is not a fluke. He's on his way, and I've joked about how Arkansas State to Utah State, and he'll be a Pac-12 coach next season or the season after that, if that's the only conference he wants to stop at. Maybe he can get into the SEC or something like that. I would take – I don't want to ridiculously rain hyperbole down here, but I would have taken 35. So do with that what you will. I don't think Alabama has the desire. I think that their axis to grind is with a lot of the teams, like Joe said. Joe did come around after worrying me that he was going to lay 6 touchdowns. He did come around to the side that I will hope you would be on. But if you're laying this many points in college football, you're not going to have enough money to bet the following day in the NFL.
I agree with you, man. I agree. I think there's a lot of points, especially, Nick Saban's the type of coach, Dr. Chuck, that, if he wants to run it up, he runs it up. There's certain teams, he likes to beat his ex assistants. He likes to run up on them just to, say, hey, this is a team. Hey, they're from a Mormon state. You never know. I will tell you, I'm going to hell for that one. Guys, I will tell you this. Don't go anywhere. We got our best bet segment. While he has the floor, and he did a really good breakdown, while great minds do think alike, Dr. Chuck and I on that last game, let's go to Dr. Chuck. Sports fans, we have some great customer appreciation discounts over at Sportsmemo. We are unrivaled when it comes to that. After this show, go follow Dr. Chuck year in and year out, season in, season out. Right now, 3, 7, and 30-day, he's all over those leaderboards. He's kicking butt and taking names. Go follow Dr. Chuck. You'll follow him to the bank. He's going to tell you what he's excited about on the premium side tonight and over the next few days. And he's got a nice best bet for you free today. Dr. Chuck, the floor is yours, sir.
I don't know if there's a specific order you want me to go in, but I'm just going to stick with the college football groove right now and go with that right off the bat. Nicholas Lee in the chat. Love it. That is, I don't know if you have my college football plays, but yes, that's a play I'm on, all 3 of those. So if you wanted to tie them together, that's not my favorite idea, but I think you have 2 teams in that set of 3 that could win the game, and it brings us to my favorite play of the day, which is a tonight game, and similar to Joe just brought up, not necessarily ex-assistants, but ex-coaches. The coach of another Aggie team that I'm touting today of New Mexico State this season is Jerry Kill. And Jerry Kill, last time people knew what he was doing in the public eye, he was the head coach of the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And they were regularly a contending team. And he unfortunately just had incredible health issues. He couldn't stop having the health conditions that made him retire. He's gotten over that. He is back. He is the head coach of New Mexico State. Joe brought it up earlier that these moves, and he spoke with his Westgate special guys, touts, and who it is that's telling him where the money's going. And it's really helpful because it's interesting. If anybody noticed, 80% of the games he brought up are teams we've seen now. So the big money and the wise guys, the guys in the desert that know what they're doing, have now seen, and the money is moving in the direction of what you saw. Tulsa hasn't been seen yet. Wyoming, dumpster fire. You're going for Tulsa. Illinois, we saw them just hammer Wyoming. And like Kevin said, now maybe the line's moving too much. Not a line Joe brought up, but it was only he didn't bring it up because it hadn't moved a ton like these other ones. Other teams, I mean, we haven't seen TCU yet, but people know they have a coach change, things like that. And when you see these huge movements all the way down, Nevada barely beat New Mexico State. And so now everybody wants to fade them. They don't know much about Texas State. They just saw that Nevada could barely beat New Mexico State. Maybe that was a little bit about New Mexico State. PJ Fleck has the better team. They're from the Big Ten. It's obvious who's going to win this game. And if you run the numbers, that's who's going to win this game because that's just how it is. 72 times this big of a line has happened in week 1 for a home favorite. They've won all 72 times, but they haven't even covered 48% of them. And you're just getting too many points. I think New Mexico State, not only having Minnesota's old coach, there's no reason to run the score up. There's no reason for a line like Minnesota to be this big. And the total screams out at me, too, for this 36. I think New Mexico State's in this for a quarter and a half. Hard to cover 36 points on a team like this. I see this much more in the 41-14 type mold than anything along the lines of like 48-10. And so I think you're getting a lot of value, getting a ton of points on a little bit of a coaching matchup that PJ Fleck has no reason to have any kind of gas pedal going on other than turn around, hand it off from late in the third quarter on.
Sports fans, Dr. Chuck, all over the Sportsmemo leaderboards doing some great work. He, year in and year out, is at the top of the leaderboards, no matter the sport, no matter the turf, no matter on the diamond, no matter on the gridiron. He is a winner. Follow him over at Sportsmemo. He says New Mexico State, way too many points to give this team. Great stuff, Dr. Chuck. We appreciate you as always. Dr. Chuck's going to stick around till the end of the show. Let's go to the First Lady of Las Vegas, Dionne D'Amico. Finished college football last year, number 2. Pisses me off because she beat me out. And I don't like to be beaten out by anybody, especially somebody I share a last name with. But she's doing some great work, MLB, WNBA, and one of the top people this past NFL preseason. She's going to tell you what she's excited about tonight and over the next few days on the premium side, and she's got a best bet for you free today. Dionne, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that great introduction. I am excited that football is back. as Joey did mention, I finished number 2 in college football last season, and I did finish number 2 in NFL preseason at 6-1-1 this year. All of my college games will be up later today by this evening. As far as today goes, I did pass on all of my premium plays. Remember, I am here to give you winners, not action. So I did pass on today's game, on today's cards today. And for my best bet, I wouldn't put too much stock in North Texas's season opening win over UTEP. This team is famous for beating mediocre teams, but when they have to step up and play decent teams, things go terribly wrong for the Mean Green. Last season, for example, they opened up the campaign with an alarming 44-14 win against Northwestern State. And then they continued to lose 6 consecutive outings. They did finish the season strong, riding 5 straight wins and 6 consecutive covers. However, they got blown up against Miami, Ohio in the bowl campaign. SMU, they started last year's campaign off with 7 straight wins and then finished the regular season dropping 4 of their last 5. But in all honesty, their schedule got significantly harder as the season progressed. As a matter of fact, they started each of the last 3 seasons with a 5-0 record. They have a new coaching staff and a ton of new personnel. Reports are that their newest additions are chock full of talent. The general public bet this game pretty heavily, and normally I don't side with the masses, but it's hard to go against the fact that the Mustangs have won and covered 6 of the last 7 meetings in the series. There are also monsters in the month of September, covering 22 of the last 29 games played in this month. The Not So Mean Green have problems against the AAC, failing to cover the last 4 meetings against the conference. So I'll go ahead and lay the points here with SMU.
First Lady of Las Vegas, college football's number 2 handicapper last year at Sportsmemo. Just take smooth, minus the 11. Some good technical aspects. She really leaned on a lot of these streaks and angles, and I like that. I know a lot of people out there like that. Follow Dionne over at Sportsmemo later on after the show with some of those customer appreciation discounts. You'll be following her to the bank. Let's go to another bankable capper over at Sportsmemo. KT, Kevin Thomas, better hairline than me, pissing me off. But what doesn't piss me off is that I get to share a paddle with one of the most respected guys in the industry. And guys, you're only known for being the best when you are next to the best. And Kevin certainly is one of the best year in, year out. He is a documented winner of college and pro football. Don't believe me? Go over to Sportsmemo after the show. Check it out. He's going to tell you what he's excited about on the premium side over the next few days. And he's got a best bet free winner for you today. Kevin, the floor is yours, buddy.
Thank you, Joe, and ditto to all that. And we'll get right to it. Over at Sportsmemo, I have a triple threat going on tonight. 2 college football with my top MLB investment. Super cheap deal right there. I'm already locked in on 2 college football games for Friday, and I think I already have one for Saturday. I'm not sure. I will have more coming rapidly after this show, though. What I'm looking at is Penn State and Purdue. I know they talked about that game a lot earlier today. Purdue, Penn State, last time they played 35-7, but in that game, no O'Connell. He wasn't the quarterback back then, and Clifford was the quarterback, and he had Hamler, and you might have heard of this guy, Johan Dotson, who now plays for the Commanders. Got drafted this year in the first round. The kid was an all-difference maker for Penn State. I mean, he pretty much ran the whole offense through him because they had no run game. That's what they wanted to focus on this year. They want to run the ball. Actually, a kid right near my house, that little helicopter Franklin flies around and flew over, landed on the football field. They went in there and signed a young kid named Singleton to play running back for them. I don't know. I think he's redshirted this year, but I mean, they're focused. They were out there. He was out there getting his recruits, bolstering the offensive line. They took a big hit last year, got hurt in the middle of the season after ranking 4th in conference play. I just don't see a lot of points being scored here, though. This is going to be new. They got to get the running game going, new receivers. Then you look on the other side of the ball, Purdue, they want to pass the ball. Penn State's defense is built to stop the pass. That's where they're strongest with their safeties. They're actually in their linebacker. Their edge rushers, they're going to be new. So I think Purdue would actually have a better time, like slants, running the ball, short distance stuff. I don't think they're going to go air raid here. So I think it's going to be one of those methodical, slow games, especially Penn State on the road. I mean, this is the seventh game on the road, the seventh time start of the season that they're on the road and they're playing in Big Ten. So it's going to be a huge atmosphere. So I think Penn State wants to slow it down, run the ball, play strong defense. That over 52.5. I mean, it opened 56.5. I got it at 52. I think when Joe ran the first thing, it said 58. I'm not sure if you can get 58. I mean, bet the house on that, but I still like 52.5 for the under.
Sports Fans Kevin Thomas. He's doing some great work over at Sportsmemo, which is under. Penn State, Purdue. Great stuff by Kevin. Go follow him after the show. Trust me, you'll see his numbers. He'll make a believer out of you. Coincidentally enough, on a side note, Kevin, I have a couple of relatives that play in Penn State. Wait, reverse that. They play in the state Penn. My apologies. So, sorry, guys. Couldn't help it. That's an old joke. All right, guys. Kevin, Dionne, and Dr. Chuck will be back. It is true. I got a couple of relatives in the state Penn. Anyway, just kidding, guys. I've got some things I'd like to tell you about. Sports fans, over the last 17 years, I'm documented. I have 13 top 3 finishes and more number 1 finishes than any 3 guys in this business combined in college football season. This season, I'm gunning for another number 1 in college football, and I will settle for nothing less. As I work with some of the biggest money-making crews in this business, this is where my advantage lies. Guys, I work with some of the biggest money-moving crews throughout the country and the islands as to where the lines are going to move. And me, it's always about the line and the value it offers you. So if I can actually predict the line movement, guys, I'm crushing it, and I can predict line movements. So that's where my strength really does lie. If I know a team's going to move, if a line's going to move, and I like it a little bit, if I get it on it early, it helps me. If I get on it late, I get those few extra points. That's the edge, guys. So having said that, I stood away, like Dionne, I stood away on tonight's card. But later on this evening, I will have up several plays from Friday through Monday. I like that Monday game too. That will be some big games. And just on a side note, I just last night lost my first 10-star release of the year. 14-0 before last night. Now 14-1, not too shabby. But if you guys recall, there's another Joe D, another kind of famous Joe D, Joe DiMaggio, went on a 56-game hitting streak. You know what happened after he broke that streak? He went on another 16-game hitting streak. Jump on that next 5 and 10 unit that I have. Trust me, I'm going to take you to the bank. For today's free play best bet, God, I love this team. I really do. And I swear to God, I'm going to go see them this season at their new stadium. All right, let's go to Snapdragon Stadium, where the Arizona Wildcats visit the San Diego Aztec, my friends. I doubt I will hurt anyone's feelings if I come out and say that Arizona football absolutely sucks. Sorry, Arizonians, sorry, Wildcat fans. This football team sucks. There's no other way to say it. All right, let's face it, the team is on a 1-23 straight-up run. On the flip side, San Diego State, a very solid football team, guys. Very solid. They come off a 12-2 campaign. Once again this year, they're known to have a phenomenal ground attack while possessing a ferocious stop unit. And they now have Braxton Burmeister at the helm to bring a new dynamic to the offense, a passing attack. Not only does this team come in here excited to have a new 35,000-seat stadium, but they will also come here out here confident, knowing that they went 2-0 against Pac-12 opponents a season ago. One of those wins, guess who? Was Zona, 38-14 victory, sports fans. Overall, this team is 6-2 ATS the last 8 versus this conference, including straight-up wins over Utah, UCLA, and Stanford. I just don't see how the Wildcats can possibly either move the change on this stingy defense or slow down this powerful, now double-threat offense. Complete offense changes a lot of things, guys. Arizona 5-12 ATS the last 17 versus last 17 non-conference games. 8-12 ATS the last 32 road games. 0-4 ATS the last 12 versus the Mountain West Conference. You just can't beat this conference. Under a touchdown here is a gift. Take the Aztecs. I'm going to tell you right now, this might make it as a premium play for me. If it does, you got it here free first. Sports fans, I wanted to get you a big game winner on our first show of the season. Let's bring everybody back. Let's get a couple of key notes. Let me start off. I want to tell you guys that for me, sports betting is particularly these line sports. So football is always, for me, it's always about the number. I want to ask everybody a little bit. It's always about the number. Listen to Smokey Robinson's mother. I'm showing my age here, and shop around. Great song by Smokey Robinson, The Miracle. My mama told me, you better shop around. Shop a number. If you don't get an advantage in it, don't friggin' play the game. And let me tell you this. I know I'm going to get asked this. Should I buy it up or down? Well, pick your spots there. Because if you get a couple of those losses, those extra pennies start to add up after a long season. If you pick your spots, it's very important. You don't need to bet every single game on the board. I'm a less is more guy. I'd rather have one wife like I got than 100 that look like Rosie O'Donnell. That's for sure. So remember that. Let's go to Dionne. Dionne, I know that you're a little particular. I know that you were telling me something earlier about being patient or being aggressive or something. What was your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, if you have to be selective on your games. So if there's something that you really do not like for that day, or the line isn't where you want it to be, there is nothing wrong with completely passing and not betting a game that day. There is always tomorrow or the day after, and there is definitely something that you're going to probably find that you love at the right price with the right line for the next couple of days. So you're better off just passing and not betting anything for that day and coming back the next day.
Good stuff. And I don't know if it was on the show this morning or yesterday, you mentioned something about there's a time to be patient and wait for a line. There's a time to be aggressive and move quickly. And I thought that was ingenious, and I wish I would have said it. So thank you for everything. Kevin Thomas, any football betting angles you want everybody out there to know about?
No, just follow the especially NFL. Just make sure you're following the injury report. And another thing, if you dabble in fantasy, I mean, these guys get it sometimes nail it spot on with the points. You'll see what guy's going to go off and have good games, so you can take that right into the team and roll that too. But I like to hit the Twitter. I like to look social media and stuff and just see what's in these guys' minds. A lot of these guys post stuff all the time. If it's a birthday and it's a quarterback, I'm all in. If a grandparent died, it's a quarterback, I'm all in. If it's a best friend that died, I'm against it because they're depressed. They usually play up for the other things, but when best friends are, I mean, I hate to say that, but that's a good fade right there. But that's about it on some of the weird things I look for.
I love it, KT.
Well, Brett Favre's best game of his career when his dad died against the Raiders.
Yes, you're right.
Best game of his career.
We appreciate that, Kevin. Dr. Chuck, never at a loss for words. Any betting angles you want everybody out there to know about?
Yeah, so some of the stuff you guys brought up, but I mean, you said it first, Joe, that these line sports are they're different because you need numbers on them. You know, like I had a 10-unit play on the U.S. Open yesterday. It's just a money line. You know, it's like playing UFC or baseball or hockey. You're like, how far would you bet it? They're going to win. So you bet it however far you want. You know, like football is so tough. The market is so expansive. I mean, there's more bets on a Monday night game. Like Joe said, you know, like he used to do this where you had to have a bet on the Monday night game. There's more bets on a Monday night football game than there are in a week of baseball. And baseball's huge. And that's just the way it is. And so you have to find value in football because especially if you I know Joe, for instance, he makes his lines before he looks at them, right? And I know that's a lot of people use power ratings. Rob Vino is really big into the power ratings. This is where I have it. This is what it says. Mesh them up. I know Dionne would do the same thing. Where does that come out? Is there value on this? Are you getting an EV or not? And if not, you don't have to play it. And that's what is, you know, I've learned a lot from you guys because you don't have to play it. You know, like I definitely have been a guy that's like, it's Monday. What's the action? And so learning that you don't have to play it is important. But I know everyone can't have multiple outs, but you got to figure out a way to have multiple outs. Look at that. You got to figure a way to have multiple outs because it's the only way to go. Eric Pauly put out a baseball play today that he found at plus 100 that I had at minus 140. And so, I mean, if you can't work your way up to getting multiple outs, if it's offshore stuff, if you're in a legal gambling state or however you can do it, but it's a lot better if you have other places to look than just saying, oh, you know, like for instance, Kevin was talking about his total. I mean, it's all over the place, right?
We can't hear you.
No.
Sorry, guys. I even mute myself sometimes. My voice annoys myself. So that was Kino who just made an appearance back there. It's one of our dogs. She made an appearance to say hello. She likes Dr. Chuck a lot. Yeah. We get to talk a lot during the morning shows. Sports fans, great stuff, great insights from four of the best documented cappers in the world. You can find all of our winning information at Sports Memo. After the show, the best customer appreciation discounts you'll ever see. Go to sportsmemo.com. Guys, our first show is in the books. Don't forget to tune into all of Sports Memo TV's amazing content. Hit that subscribe button to get a reminder. You don't want to miss any of our fall content. You don't want to miss any of our Cappers free winners or betting insights. It's time to go. Thank you for tuning in, folks. On behalf of Sports Memo, Dionne, Dr. Chuck, Kevin, and myself, Joe D'Amico,